Let Daddy decide.
which is how do I?
So seriously though, you recorded that in like 10 minutes. You could re-record it with your kids. As could I.
I
need to
keep
my
trying
kids
to
out
get
here
them to go
too.
down and do it, but
I need.
They're like, I just want to play my Minecraft.
I need to. Hey, you tell them old Slurpy Charles said you get your butt on that microphone. No more Slurpees for you. So you said this is how do I? How do I?
Yes.
Live? How do I handle my sick kids? All right, and now I did see your post here as we got started that you got a text from your wife. So spoiler alert, kids doing better. And I'm going to take a random guess as we go through the story, and you might not have all the details, but they gave some kind of steroid or something else like a Buterol or something, and it cleared up what was going on because wheezing is upper respiratory, so it was tightening up those airways. And I'm assuming that the medicine finally just took its course and it opened up.
Yeah, I guess so. She took him at like 3 o'clock, so like 5-6 hours ago, and they brought him in. They did some tests. They obviously noticed the erratic breathing. He's been taking quick, shallow breaths since last night, and
what did it sound like? Yep, gotcha. Wheezing. A little bit of how old is he?
4.
This is the baby. This is not the baby. The baby's 0 and 4. No, this is the baby.
No, yeah, he's our youngest. 4.
But he's out. So let me put a bullet point there. He's out of the danger zone. And the danger zone is from 1 to 3. There's they can get epiglottitis or croup, and that one is a bit more. And when I say danger zone, that's just a bit more. Hey, and by the way,
yeah, it's more serious
paramedic
at those ages.
Yeah, just in case you're wondering what my licensure was, paramedic for almost 30 years now. So that's where I'm getting a lot of this from. But yeah, so but that you're being 4. Okay, cool. That sounds like a seasonal asthma, or maybe you can develop asthma at any time. So maybe he's developing asthma. So
and he's been diagnosed with seasonal asthma in previous winters. So I think it was actually last winter.
All right. So, I know what I'm talking about. Look at me.
and so that's kind of what we were thinking it was. Now we tried doing our we have one of those machines.
Yep,
yeah, nebulizer. That's the name.
Yep. What do you have? Is it albuterol? Is it Zopanex or bromine?
I don't know. I'd have to look. It's a seal. They just call it Sammy the Seal.
No, not the machine, the medicine.
I know what you're talking about. But yeah, so my wife took him in. They've given him now 2 doses of steroids, and they've administered oxygen at least 3 times that I know of.
And that's honestly, that's not as big a deal as it might sound.
Yeah, but his oxygen levels were in the high 80s, and they were wanting them to come up.
They need to be 94.
Yeah. Yep.
At least, yeah.
And so the text that I got from my wife just a little bit ago is that his oxygen is up at 98 right now.
That's standard. I bet for most people even listening to the show right now, unless we're boring them to death, if you put the pulse ox on your finger, it's going to be between 96 to 98, 99 even. The stuff we use in the field doesn't really read to 100 because it doesn't matter. If you're at 94, we might start giving you some oxygen if you're struggling. Being in the 80s, absolutely. Had Joe called the ambulance and I was on it, he would have gotten a probably Zopanex if we had it, which is doesn't have the steroid part of it, doesn't boost the heart, but it does all the airway stuff. And so we start with that with kids usually, and now doing nebulized in the house as we were going out. Did y'all do a treatment or 2 at home?
Yeah, we did 2 treatments at home.
And that's probably why they jumped to the steroids, because you had in-date medicine, you knew what you're doing, you administered it correctly, and it didn't give relief. They may have tried one more at the hospital, but that's why they ended up going with the steroids there. And hello, Shante.
And apparently they're wanting to keep him overnight to monitor him because his breathing is still fast. So, and they want him to have a high oxygen level without the medicine and administering oxygen.
Do you have any numbers to go with that? What's fast?
You don't
have to ask for anything.
My wife did tell me numbers at one point. I I could be completely off, but I want to say they said 61 for his
That's
breathing.
pretty fast for a 4-year-old.
So
Under
yeah,
30
I'm
is
pretty
usually
sure.
what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said 61.
Okay.
So yeah, she didn't text it to me. It
So,
must have been in a phone call.
any fevers?
No, he wasn't
Any
running a
rashes?
fever. I didn't see any rashes on him. He had stomach. He was complaining of stomach pain last night and this morning.
Loose poopies or vomiting?
No vomiting, at least not in him. Our oldest vomited the other day, though. So
Wasn't there like a stomach bug or something going around your house?
I hope it doesn't continue past our oldest, but we'll see.
But wasn't there? No, it's somebody else's house. Never mind.
But
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm just so I don't have enough to really help you with some other ideas other than fast breathing is not always because of breathing. It can be because of infections or the body's fighting something off. And it could be he has a double whammy. There could be some kind of underlying flu bug that he's fighting off, as well as the seasonal asthma or whatever it ends up being diagnosed as.
Yeah, I mean, even like having a swollen abdomen can cause pressure on the lungs and cause shallow breathing and stuff like that.
And at his age, he should be diaphragm breathing. So yeah, if his stomach is swollen for any reason, it should be, yeah.
But yeah. So it's looking up. He's sleepy and wanting to go to sleep. So I'm sure, yeah, my wife's just gonna stay there tonight, and I've got the older two. So.
Yeah. So this show brought to you by NyQuil. NyQuil, great for getting kids to shut up while you podcast. That's NyQuil. All right, now, so how'd you feel? I mean, did you feel worried about it, or was you like, all right, it's gonna be all right?
I was starting to get a little bit worried with how fast and wheezy, how fast his breathing was and wheezy was. But at the same time, I do feel like he'll be fine. So.
Yeah. Ira says, I know it's past visiting hours, but can I just give him some flowers from Kanye West? I hope the little man comes around. Prayers, brother. I should have read that like Macho Man. Prayers, brother. I just messed that. That's not Macho Man Randy Savage at all. Snap it yours. All right, I can't do it. Now I'm off. So, but that's not the point. When I don't force it, I can do it. I can do Snap It to a Slim Jim. I can't do it now. So just for some references, deep gurgling sounds is in the lungs itself, and you that's can be some asthma, but that's usually going to be some pneumonia type base. Yeah.
There was no liquid in his lungs, so he's clear there.
Good. And I missed that they call it seasonal asthma, but really if it's wheezing up top, asthma attacks called wheezing, but that could also be bronchitis. So they were playing both sides of that one. The one that sounds like a seal bark, and I went to paramedic school. You can go to YouTube. By the way, don't Google like symptoms on YouTube, but if you Google breath sounds and throw in like croup or bronchitis or asthma, they have great recordings of what they actually sound like. So you can have, I mean, sound and the lungs sounds are everything. And if it sounds like a seal bark and it really is like hurt, I mean, it's a really high pitch, that's croup. And that one you need to go to the hospital. It's not a rush. It's not a 911 call unless they're obviously struggling. And that's the picture I want to paint for everybody to calm you down. My whole intent here is to give you knowledge so you can not freak out. Because even as a paramedic, there were times when my kids did things that freaked me out just a little bit. Now, because as a paramedic, instantly I just killed that guy and threw him out in the ditch and did my job. But even with knowledge, it does help. But it does panic you. But you can get through it easily.
Yeah, well, and we tried several things at home before we took him to the doctor.
And that's the thing. The first time you took him, you got, okay, it might be seasonal asthma, which I called first thing. Thank you very much. And you got the tools to do at home, and that makes it easier. And there's 3 or 4 different drugs, and named off 3 of them that they want to give you, and you just use it as needed. It didn't work. And that's okay. That's medicine. You try something, you give it 5 to 10 minutes to take effect. You reassess. It didn't take effect. Try it again, and you hit the road.
That's why it's called practicing medicine.
Yes, it is indeed. So here's the signs of distress. All right. So if you don't see these things typically combined, you're okay. If you do see these things, call 911 and you're still okay. Right. It's going to come on. Kids turn blue fast. fast. So that's cyanosis, right? So it's not just gonna be a little bit around the lips. I mean, it's gonna be blue nose, blue cheeks, blue fingernail beds are the key. You look okay on that camera. On that camera, it looks like my fingernail is blue, but that's just the lighting. That is the correct finger, by the way, not the daddy finger. And look, if you squeeze your finger, do this, Joe, with me. Squeeze your fingernail for just a second and let it go. And watch it. It goes from white to pink, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called capillary refill time, or CRT. That's the number one thing we see about your oxygen levels is if your skin is pink, you pinch it and it goes white to pink, you count the seconds. Over 3 seconds, there is a oxygenation problem. 3 seconds and under, you're still okay. All right. So if they're not blue, you got the fingernails. Fingernail beds turn blue very fast on kids, the whole tips, everything. So it's not, hey, they got cold around the lips because they've been eating a popsicle. That happened to my son. And some lady flipped out. I was like, oh my God, he can't. I'm like, that boy is running the 100-yard dash. Tell me he can't breathe. He ate a popsicle, moron. All right, sorry. Tripod or using accessory muscles. If you see the ribs coming in and out, or if you lean forward, it's called tripod. You make a triangle. You lean forward on your legs and elbows, like us big boys have done when we had to walk from the Hilton all the way up to the Hyatt, right? In 10 minutes or less. We sit down, like, we tripod, but that's a sign of distress. And these are not necessarily late signs, but they are signs that says, hey, you might need 911 instead of taking your car. Now, if you can't trust yourself to drive the speed limit, stop at stop signs and red lights and be safe, get somebody to drive you. Because the last thing you need is to endanger your kid even more, because I know you're worried about them. Get them to the hospital safely. My wife always calls me. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm 30 minutes away. If she thinks we need to go, she calls me. This hadn't happened in a long time, but she's called me, and I get her to tell me the symptoms on the phone. And then I decided she needs to call an ambulance, or she'll wait for me to drive. But she knows she ain't driving unless I tell her to. But then because she needs to be, she wants to be mama. She wants to panic. She wants to be emotional with it, and that's her way of coping with it. So all that being said, it doesn't sound like your kid had any of those things. The rapid breathing is something now, especially now that he's had the steroids, because steroids will jack your heart rate up a little bit and you're breathing up, but not that high. So tells me there's something else possibly going on. And Chattanooga's got a really good pediatric hospital up there, so y'all should be all right.